There are moments in life when God feels a million miles away. You pray, and it echoes. You seek, and feel nothing. You weep, and the heavens seem shut. But what if that silence isn't abandonment? What if it's a holy space, a divine pause, pregnant with purpose? Because in love, especially the kind that mirrors the heart of God, silence isn't always distance. Sometimes it's design. And when you understand this, you begin to realize God isn't gone. He's preparing you. You see, we often confuse emotional distance with rejection, especially in relationships, when they don't respond the way we hoped. When affection fades, when attention withers, we panic. We internalize. We assume we've done something wrong, or worse, that we are unworthy of love itself. But this is where both psychology and the spirit speak clearly. Love is not validated by noise. It's proven in stillness. Philosophically, love is not merely a sensation or fleeting pleasure. It is a commitment to see and to stay. A decision made in the full awareness of another's imperfections. A sacred vow not to run when things grow quiet, but to listen harder. God, being the very source of love, does the same. He doesn't shout over our chaos. He waits through it. And in that silence, He's inviting us to learn what most people fear. Stillness, because stillness requires trust. It demands surrender. It asks us to believe that even when we feel nothing, something holy is happening within. Psychologically, this is where transformation begins. The discomfort of silence is not emptiness, it's space. Space for your soul to untangle from codependence. Space for your identity to shift from performance to presence. Space for your heart to stop striving and start becoming. And in this silence, love matures. It ceases to be a transactional feeling and becomes a formative force. No longer just something that happens to you, but something you choose with courage, discipline, and vulnerability. Because anyone can feel passion in the heat of the moment, but love, real love, that's what remains when the thrill is gone and the silence sets in. This is why God sometimes steps back, not because He's left, but because He's letting you stand, letting you grow, letting you learn how to love when there's no emotional reward. Because this is where the spiritual and the psychological meet, in the decision to keep loving when it doesn't feel good. And if we're not careful, we'll reduce love to a hedonistic pursuit of pleasure, chasing highs, fleeing discomfort, hopping from one emotional fix to the next. But that kind of love is shallow, it's temporary, it's fragile. True love, God's kind of love, is built on truth, discipline, and mutual growth. It stays when it's hard. It sacrifices when it hurts. It listens when nothing is being said. It's in this silence that your identity is reshaped, that your moral character is refined, that your spirit is restructured to carry something heavier than passion purpose. So, how do we live in the tension between the ideal of unconditional love and the reality of human flaws? By embracing the silence not as punishment but preparation, to love someone not despite their imperfections, but because of the shared ache of being human. That's divine. That's what Jesus did. That's what the Holy Spirit still does. He meets us not when we're perfect, but when we're present. And He remains even when the silence is deafening, because silence isn't absence. It's where love grows roots. And God is still speaking. He's just waiting for you to get quiet enough to hear. So many of us stand in the silence, hearts aching, eyes lifted to heaven, asking, God, where are you? We plead for signs. We long for a word, a feeling, a break, through something that proves we're not alone, that we're not forgotten. But could it be that while you're asking for a sign, God is asking for surrender? This is where we misunderstand love, not just divine love, but love between people. We crave the visible, the texts, the reassurances, the grand gestures. We want proof. But real love, enduring love, doesn't always speak in fireworks. Sometimes it whispers through patience, Sometimes it's found in the quiet choice to stay. Philosophically, love is not something that simply happens to us. It's not a force we fall into, it's a decision we rise into. Love in its purest form is an act of the will. And acts of the will carry weight, they carry responsibility, they carry consequence. To love someone and to love God is to choose them not once, but daily. It is to say, I will remain, even when every emotion tells you to retreat. It's a surrender not of weakness, but of strength. A relinquishing of control in exchange for communion. And that kind of surrender, it's terrifying, because it demands that we offer our vulnerability, our raw truth, our naked soul, and trust that we will not be abandoned in return. Psychologically, the human heart is wired to protect itself. We shield, we hide, we perform, but love strips all that away. It exposes us. It asks us to bring not just our beauty, but our brokenness, not just our strengths, but our shadows. That's why God may seem silent, because He's not interested in performing for your emotions. He's waiting for you to lay them bare. He's not moved by our demand for signs. He's moved when our hearts stop striving and start surrendering. In human relationships, this shows up when we stop trying to earn love and start learning to receive it. When we stop demanding perfection from our partner and begin accepting the reality of their flawed, beautiful, growing soul. But here's the danger. If we reduce love to a pursuit of pleasure, we strip it of its sanctity. We turn it into a drug, something to make us feel alive rather than something to make us become more alive. And in doing so, we miss the whole point. Because love, true, disciplined, committed love transforms. It reshapes who we are. It doesn't just soothe our wounds, it reveals them. And then it offers healing not through escape but through presence. To love someone in this way is not to ignore their flaws, but to engage them with tenderness. It is to say, I see the storm inside you, and I'm not running. It is to believe that the burden of being human is not theirs alone to carry, that you will shoulder it too, and in that sacred exchange, both souls are changed. This is how we navigate the tension between the ideal and the reality, not by demanding perfection, but by surrendering to the process of love itself, a process that is messy, uncomfortable, and divine. So, maybe you don't need another sign. Maybe you need to surrender, to stop performing, to let go of your demand for clarity and choose communion instead. Because love, at its core, is not about always knowing, it's about always choosing, and when you do, when you surrender, you just might find that the silence wasn't God withholding Himself. It was Him waiting for you to lay your heart down so He could fill it. In the middle of the night, when your heart is aching and your thoughts are loud, have you ever wondered why you can't feel God? Why even in love, even in the arms of someone who says they care, you still feel alone? You long to hear something, anything, but all you hear is static. Silence, confusion, but let me gently offer this. Maybe it's not that God isn't speaking. Maybe your heart is just too loud to hear Him. We often approach love like a rescue mission. We expect it to heal what we haven't surrendered to be healed. We enter relationships as if they are answers to our loneliness, to our trauma, to our unfinished stories. And when they fail to meet those deep needs, when love feels distant or confusing, we panic. But this is where we must come back to the deeper truth. Love is not meant to silence your chaos. It's meant to help you face it. Philosophically, love is a divine paradox. It exists not to spare you from your brokenness, but to invite you into wholeness through it. It is not the erasure of imperfection, but the embrace of it. It's the only force strong enough to make sense of the mess without demanding perfection first. But if you approach love like a drug chasing the high, avoiding the withdrawal, you will reduce it to pleasure, a hedonistic escape rather than a transformative power. and you'll miss its greatest work. Because love, true love, isn't loud. It doesn't force itself. It doesn't demand to be noticed. It whispers, and if you're drowning in emotional chaos, anxiety, heartbreak, insecurity, that whisper gets lost. Psychologically, we know that our brains are wired to avoid discomfort. When pain arises, we seek distraction. When silence falls, we crave stimulation. And when relationships grow quiet or God seems distant, we run to fill the void. We scroll, we argue, we reach for anything to numb the ache, but the ache isn't your enemy, it's your teacher. Love grows best in quiet soil. It matures when we stop trying to make it do something for us and start letting it shape something in us. That shaping, though, it's painful because it means vulnerability. It means sitting in the tension of imperfection. It means choosing someone not because they silence your pain, but because they're willing to sit in it with you. That's what it means to love someone not despite their flaws, but because of the shared burden of being human. It's to say, your mess doesn't scare me, mine doesn't scare you, so we stay. And this is the image of God's love for us. He doesn't barge in with fireworks. He stands at the door and knocks. He waits for you to silence the storm inside long enough to hear the whisper, "I've been here, I've always been here." To navigate the tension between unconditional love and human imperfection, we must learn to turn down the noise, to stop expecting love to perform, to stop making it the solution to our unresolved pain. Love is not a bandage. It's not therapy. It's not a fix. It's a force, a holy one, and it asks something from you, presence. So next time love feels distant, whether it's from God, from someone else, or even from yourself, ask, what noise is drowning the whisper? Is it fear? Is it pride? Is it the refusal to sit still? Because love is speaking, but you'll only hear it in surrender. You'll only feel it when you stop chasing and start listening. And you'll only grow in it when you stop demanding that it rescue you and start letting it transform you. We live in a world obsessed with easy love. Fast love, love that feels good, demands little, and ends quietly when it becomes inconvenient. But here's a sobering truth. Love that costs nothing cannot save anything. Not your heart, not your relationship, not your soul, because real love, God's kind of love, is always costly. It demands everything, and it gives back more than we could ever earn. You see, we want the rewards of intimacy without the price of self-exposure. We want connection without commitment, pleasure without sacrifice, security without surrender. But true love isn't interested in convenience. It is forged in the fire of responsibility, discipline, and divine courage. Psychologically, we are creatures of avoidance. We shy away from pain, discomfort, and anything that threatens our ego. But love, real love, does the opposite. It doesn't protect your ego, it crucifies it. It doesn't hide your wounds. It heals them by exposing them first. And that's terrifying, because to truly love is to allow another person to become part of your formation. It's to let someone else shape how you see yourself, how you relate to truth, and how you evolve as a moral being. That's not weak. That's radically strong and incredibly risky. Philosophically, love is not merely a feeling that floats in and out of our lives like a breeze. It's a binding force, a decision that pulls order from chaos. It gives meaning to pain. It sanctifies sacrifice. It grounds our chaotic experiences in something higher, something eternal. Without love, everything is transaction. With love, everything becomes transformation. But here's the danger. When we reduce love to a pursuit of pleasure, we no longer become participants in something sacred. We become consumers. We enter relationships looking for what we can extract, not for who we can become. And this is where so many break under the weight of love, because love was never meant to entertain us. It was meant to refine us, and refinement hurts. In a culture that idolizes ease and efficiency, love rooted in discipline and sacrifice feels foreign. But think of the cross. The highest expression of love wasn't loud or beautiful. It was bloody, brutal, humiliating, yet it saved the world. Why? Because that kind of love doesn't run when it gets hard. It stays. It chooses. It dies to self so that the other might live. To love someone not despite their flaws, but because of the burden you share as two broken people trying to be whole. That's holy. It's the heartbeat of the gospel. It says, I don't love you because you make me feel good. I love you because God's love compels me to see you fully, honestly, and stay. This kind of love transforms us. It strips away our pride. It exposes our selfishness, and it beckons us into something deeper than passion, purpose. So how do we live in that tension between the ideal of love and the reality of imperfection? We stop expecting perfection to make love work, and we start embracing love as the force that makes us whole in our imperfection. We show up when it's inconvenient. We speak truth when it's uncomfortable. We forgive when it's undeserved. We sacrifice even when it's unnoticed. Because that is the price of real love. And when you finally realize that love is not meant to make you happy, but to make you holy, that's when it starts to change everything. So don't run from love because it costs. Run toward it because only love that costs is strong enough to save. In a world full of masks, curated images, and surface-level affirmations, the most terrifying and liberating experience is this. To be fully seen, fully known, and still loved, and yet that is exactly what love dares us to do. Love is not about perfect compatibility. It's not about finding someone who never offends you, never fails you, never hurts you. Love is about choosing to stay in the tension of truth, choosing to walk with someone through the uncomfortable process of being known. And let me say this, to be known is to be undone. Why? Because true love strips you down. It doesn't just expose the beautiful parts of your soul. It lays bare your selfishness, your fears, your unresolved pain. It brings to the surface the parts of you that even you try to avoid. And when you allow someone to see all that, to touch the wounds and the weakness, that is where love begins its deepest work. Psychologically, we are wired for connection, yet terrified of rejection. So we build walls, we hide behind performance and pleasure. We turn love into a game of attraction and reward, not sacrifice and presence. But here's the truth. Love without vulnerability is just performance. It's a play you put on, a mask you wear, but it won't transform you, and it won't last. It is only when you let love confront your inner chaos, your defense mechanisms, your insecurities, your trauma, that it begins to shape your identity. Because love in its truest form doesn't just want to feel good, it wants to make you whole. Philosophically, love reveals a deep truth about human nature. We are not complete on our own. We are not autonomous islands of perfection. We are beings who need one another to reflect who we are and who we're becoming. That's why love is more than passion. It is a mirror. It reflects your soul. And if you're willing to look honestly, it will show you both the beauty and the brokenness. This is why reducing love to a hedonistic pursuit of pleasure is so dangerous. When we use love for comfort but reject its call to transformation, we become emotionally malnourished. We feel good temporarily, but we don't grow. We don't heal. We simply recycle our wounds in new relationships. But the love that heals, that builds, that redeems is love grounded in truth, in discipline, in mutual growth. It's the kind of love that doesn't flinch when things get hard. It leans in. It says, I see you. I'm not leaving, but I'm also not going to let you stay where you are. That kind of love is holy. Now, how do we live in the tension between unconditional love and human imperfection? We stop waiting for perfect partners. We stop idealizing romanticized fantasies. Instead, we embrace the sacred burden of being known. We accept the flaws, not as distractions from love, but as the very places where love does its most sacred work. To love someone not despite their flaws, but because of them, because of the shared burden of being human, broken, and still believing in beauty. That is the gospel in human form. It is to say, I choose you not because you complete me, but because loving you makes me confront what still needs healing in me. That's not weakness. That's power. That's the power that restores, renews, and redefines what it means to be human. Love, real love, is not found in the absence of flaws, but in the presence of grace. And when two people agree to carry the weight of being known together without running, without performing, they begin to experience the divine mystery. That love doesn't just change how we feel, it changes who we are.